So I thought I'd do a real quick video on times you might want to use essential oils and times when you might want to veer more towards herbal medicine. And I'm going to give you an example out of our own life. And this was the time when my son had sustained an injury to actually the knuckle of his hand. He was at work, and a large rock, heavy rock, came and it fell on his knuckle and split it open to the skin. It was just this nice slice right there. I mean, you could see the bone. It was very neat and tidy. And so we looked at it and thought, okay, we have two options. One, we get in the car and we go to the emergency room and they're going to disinfect it and do all the things, and they're going to stitch it and, probably put, whatever. They're going to isolate it so that it can heal, because obviously you don't want the bending there, and that's fine. Option B is we try to treat it at home. And so we were able to ascertain he still had range of motion. We hadn't lost any tendons or ligaments or any kind of thing in there. It was just like kind of a blunt force trauma that just parted the skin. And so I gave him the option. I want you to know he is 21 years old. And I said, buddy, we can do either one. I will take you to the hospital, or I've got all this stuff at home and we can try it at home. And he was like, I want to try it at home, which made me nervous, but also made me extremely proud of him, because all the stuff that I've been teaching and preaching from way back when, it shows me that he really took it to heart, and he was able to assess his own injury and realize, like, it's going to heal either way. It's just which methodology do you want to use? So here's where it comes down to essential oils versus herbs. And we were using herbs primarily. I'll actually tell you exactly what we did. You could do it differently, but it healed up beautifully. You can't even tell that it was there. And we splinted it, of course, and it didn't heal maybe any faster than it would have, but it healed beautifully, and it healed using natural products. And that is just a testament to God's creation, right? But what would not have been appropriate, I don't think, and some people can use these things, but when you're dealing with a wound like that, I don't prefer to put essential oils in it. The only oil I will use, and I have used this a lot, is helichrysum. I always use helichrysum when you're dealing with a wound like that. I've used it many, many, many times. It's not hot. It kind of helps to cauterize the wound and stop the bleeding. It helps to diminish the pain significantly. It disinfects and does all of these things, but it doesn't burn. It's not like the other things. So it does the beauty of disinfecting and kind of mitigating the pain and the bleeding without delivering that sizzle that a lot of like topical applications can do. I wouldn't personally recommend going to the lavender oil and those kinds of things. I don't have experience with it. I'm not comfortable with it, because I do know people who have used lavender on different skin abrasions and found it was too strong. So perhaps in its diluted form, but I didn't want a diluted form because I wanted to get it into that wound. And so we did do, a rinse and flush with saline to kind of clean it out. And then we did apply the oil and kind of, fan it a little bit. And then we used a product from Natural Hope Herbals, which I love. And if you don't have it, go get it. You can get it in a tiny little jar that's about this big, and it's called People's Paste. That might be a silly name, but what it really is a jar of dried herbs that are incredible at wound packing and speeding wound healing and the cells kind of knitting together. And what you do is you pack the wound with these herbs. Now listen, it's not pretty. Okay, it's not all sanitized and tidy like you're sanitized, yes, but it's not all tidy and sterile, I should say, like you're seeing at the hospital where they, you're packing it with green botanical material. And so, but what it's going to do is stimulate cellular healing from the inside out, and eventually it's going to heal the bottom layers first and up and up and up until that kind of botanical plug just gets popped out of the wound. And then on top of that, we have these Manuka honey bandages, which are fantastic. I mean, you can get them on Amazon. I don't love Jeff Bezos, but I do order from Amazon. And they're kind of like this very delicate mesh of Manuka honey. And so we cut a little piece of that and used that to kind of glue everything in place, and then just bandaged it up and splinted it with like a big, I don't know, throat popsicle stick. What do you call those? Tongue depressor. And we bandaged his hand, and then he just was walking around like this for several weeks. We would rebandage and take a look at it and give it a little air dry, and then, put some more Manuka on it, maybe a little more helichrysum as needed. But the herbs in that people's paste are they're antiseptic, first of all, and they're incredibly stimulating for the healing process. And so, in fact, so much so, it's got like plantain and comfrey, and I should have brought a bottle out here to talk more about it, but the herbs are so potent in healing, in fact, that what you don't want to do is to put the herbs only topically and not pack them into the wound, because the top will heal over so well that you could leave infectious material underneath. You really want a wound to heal from the inside out. But that is an occasion in which I don't feel like essential oils don't have the substance and, I don't know, the meatiness, or really the gentleness to do the job that the herbs could do, in my opinion. I'm not a professional. This is just, how I perceived it on our end. It's the same thing with you're making like herbal poultices and things like that. You would take your fresh plant material or dried, and you can apply it over a much broader application, and you'd have to use a lot of essential oils or really significantly dilute it. And I just think that there's times when one is a better application than the other. I love them both. And so part of delving into this world of natural medicine is just slowly and gently learning about different applications. And you may disagree and have done something completely different. These are the tools that we had in hand and what we did for my son. And he has, complete healing, total full range of motion. And, but yeah, the plants weren't pretty, they were kind of stuffed in there, and they kind of dried around his skin, and, it didn't look beautiful, but man, that wound, when it healed, looked beautiful. So there's a lot of different things. I would say, with essential oils, when it comes to digestion, for example, I love essential oils and I reach for them every time. Less and less do I really take them internally. I love Digize. I apply it topically. I love chamomile. I apply it topically, the essential oil, I mean. But if I want to really get something down inside of me, if things are churning and burning and bubbling, I will take an herbal tea, because it's going to go in a different way, and it's going to be absorbed through my gut lining and assimilated into my digestive tract in a different way than something being applied topically, the oils going in. But I will tell you that on many, many, many occasions, I have only had the oil with me and I have used the oil. And on other occasions, I have used the herbals. So it's really going to end up being up to you what you're most familiar with and what you're most comfortable with. And oftentimes that just comes from what has your experience been with that plant material. And there's no right or wrong answer. If it works for you, then it works. And that's amazing. So I just thought I would give you that quick example of what we did. And I'm curious your thoughts and uses. And in fact, put them in the comments below. I'd really love to know times when you have chosen herbs or oils and what you have done with them, and why you had that preference for them. I'd love to hear it. All right, talk to you later.